Hello, I'm ABX Toycat and welcome back to another History Off video. Today I'll be covering one of the biggest myths in gaming ever, which has to of course be Herobrine from Minecraft. So the reason this myth is so big is not only because of the fact that he's so widely believed and it makes it tricky to work out if he's real or not at first glance, but also because of the fact that he's been semi-recognized by the developers of the game themselves, and I thought it would be cool to explain the full history of how Herobrine came to be and exactly where he does stand as far as implementation into the game goes. So please do like the video if you do like it, because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you like seeing more stuff like this. But let's get straight into the video, shall we? So let's start with the very origin of Herobrine. So depending on where you read, you'll get a slightly different origin story, but the earliest one I can find is from an image post on 4chan in 2010. So this isn't the 4chan you probably know of doing all the terrible things you probably heard them do, which is the /b board, but it's instead the /v board where people talk about video games and share their experiences. So this guy decides to talk about Minecraft, a reasonably new game at the time, and decides to talk about how he just found a character at the very edge of his render distance that ran away, and after he realized this guy ran around, he started seeing weird things in his world, such as random 2x2 tunnels, such as pyramids, and such as like trees just having all their leaves cut off. So as he decided to go to the forums to ask about this, every time he posted a topic asking if anyone's seen him, he had his topics deleted, and then he got a message from Herobrine saying stop, and then as soon as he went on the Herobrine profile, it just did not work. So eventually he got a message from one of the mods telling him to email him, and the emails then said that the name Herobrine came from a Swedish gamer who actually happened to be a brother of Notch. So he emailed Notch asking if he had a brother, and he said, I did, but he's no longer with us. So then he attaches this image of the only screenshot he ever had of the man at the edge of his render distance, and as you can see, it's a little bit creepy. Obviously if you read the whole thing, it's reasonably well done and reasonably creepy, and this is the very spawn of all of the characteristics and part of the story that are known as Herobrine. So the fact that he's Steve but with the slightly hollowed out eyes, the fact that he does weird stuff to your world, the fact that he's Notch's dead brother, all came from this original post. However, this isn't what popularized the Herobrine thing itself, because this post kind of died out after a while. But what did happen is, after this fact, a guy named Copeland, a Swedish streamer, decided to actually start streaming, and at one point in one of these 2-hour streams, he actually came across a guy that looked a lot like Herobrine and decided to run away, screamed, all that sort of stuff. And of course that was a big thing, not only as a popularity boost to the stream, but that started the the Herobrine myth going off even more, because it looked very realistic. However, having looked back, because the video was available a little bit after the event, we can look at it and we can see, oh, it's just a painting that had Herobrine on it, and if you freeze the frame, you'll be able to see, oh yeah, that's just a painting. But still, at the time, if you're just on a stream and you see that for a split second before he runs away, it looks very realistic, especially since he'd proved that he was just playing single player, all that sort of stuff. Very crazy stuff. And it's kind of funny to me that the first Herobrine myth was just with a painting, but that was actually the case. So after this first myth, he did a few more streams where nothing too significant happened. Herobrine became this big thing in his chat, but he didn't really show up in the stream again until just randomly again in another big stream, he runs into a like a Steve-like figure, the Herobrine figure, but he's in lava this time, which proves that he can't just be a painting, and very scary stuff. This time, if you're wondering the exact story behind it, it was a door which was retextured to have the Herobrine skin, but it was still very scary and kind of put a lot of doubts to the rest of people, because they're like, oh, it can't be a painting if he's in the middle of lava. And again, he did the same thing where it was only shown for a brief second, then he turned off the stream afterwards because he was so scared. And basically this is how Herobrine started to spread like wildfire. This one streamer, he's not even very well known, but on livestream.com, the place where he did stream, he made this massive kind of thing that worked out both in his favor and in the favor of Herobrine, because this myth spread like wildfire. And I think the reason that this myth spread so well is because Minecraft is the perfect game to have a myth like this, because it's the type of game where you never truly know everything. I mean, I've been playing Minecraft for so many years now, every now and then I still discover something new, and that's why I have a whole channel dedicated to that sort of stuff. And you could kind of believe that there's this very rare chance you'll run into, this rare myth guy that will mess with your world, and it kind of just about makes sense. I mean, it could be in the game, right? I mean, if it's so hard to find, how you can do that? And you combine that with the fact that, like I said, he's such a rare thing that even if, you want to prove he doesn't exist, it's hard to prove a negative when it's a very rare negative. And that's why, the Herobrine myth spread really well, because everyone's like, okay, prove he's not real. Oh, wait, you can't. And I think when you combine that with the fact that Notch, the big developer of the game at the time, was somewhat playing along with it, he wasn't, confirming or denying it, it kind of leads to this big myth becoming a thing. And I think the thing that really perpetuated it is the fact that, YouTubers, streamers all around saw how successful this made the guy. You don't really know too much about him now, but, that made this stream very big, and that meant that a lot of people wanted to make their own Herobrine sightings, and of course, it's somewhat entertaining to see them. So, a lot of Herobrine sightings have been done since then, but pretty much every single one of them has been put down to myths, and I think most of the people making them would admit admit they're fake. Some people probably wouldn't, but it's it's the sort of thing where everyone's going to be like, yeah, that's kind of a thing. So the reason that we do know this is actually fake is because about a year after, for the first year, he'd say, nope, it's definitely real to everyone, and again, it makes it impossible to disprove, but about a year after, he did admit that it was entirely faked. He explained how he did all this stuff, and he explained that he did it because he thought it was a really cool story. He actually read the original 4chan thing, the one that didn't pick up too much, and he thought that's a really cool idea, so he decided to implement it into one of his streams. So yeah, the original guy who made this whole thing spread admits it was fake, and I think that's the point where you have to be like, well, I mean, it's hard to keep this thing going on anymore. So the thing that kind of also perpetuates this, or used to perpetuate this, is the fact that every update used to actually say that Herobrine has been removed from the game, and of course this was just a joke. It's become a running joke. Obviously you don't remove Herobrine from the game that many times, and the only reason they actually stopped removing Herobrine from the game was because Notch was just fed up with the joke, because at some point it's just like it becomes a group of people that are just trying to believe something that they kind of know isn't real, and he just kind of put an end to it by saying, okay, we're not going to include that in the changelog. So for the past year on console or PC, there have been no Herobrine removed changelogs on the game, which is something that I'm kind of glad of, because some people would actually use that as a piece of proof, and it would annoy me a little bit. So what about the actual stats of Herobrine coming to the game in the future? Because we proved that there's no proof that he exists in the game right now. There's nothing like that. But what about the future? Will he be added eventually? I've mentioned how a Herobrine boss would be quite cool, and Notch did say just after the thing started getting popular in 2010 that he would like to see Herobrine in the game itself at some point. But obviously he didn't implement it. It's been 5 years. He doesn't even work on the game anymore, so that's kind of not really how it's going. And unfortunately, both Dinnerbone and Jeb have mentioned how they do not plan to add Herobrine to the game. And I think at this point it wouldn't make sense to add Herobrine, because Herobrine is this really big, really cool myth. It's the biggest myth in gaming, and to add Herobrine to the game would be to kind of cancel out that myth to place it with your own. If you were gonna have something like that, it would have to be something else, and at that point, what's the point? So yeah, will Herobrine ever be in the game? It's unlikely. I think they like it being a cool myth that you can believe in if you want to believe it, but I think they don't want to perpetuate it with anything that seems real anymore. I think it's the sort of thing where you can make up your own Herobrine story, and that's cool, but it's never going to be an official version of the game, and I think that's the best way to do it. There are always going to be thousands of people who make fake Herobrine sightings for the sake of YouTube stuff, and there's always going to be the people like me that say, well, there's no real existence of him in the game, and I guess it depends on what you want to listen to. Do you want to listen to the fact that this fun story? I know lots of stories are fun because they're not real in the back of your head, but you can believe if you want to, or do you want to know the truth? That's kind of how this whole thing is, and of course on my channel I like to cover the facts, so that's what I did. But again, you can just disregard everything I said for the last 8 minutes, and you can be like, well, he is an agent of Herobrine. He does have Herobrine in his back right now. And if you want to do that, that's entirely fine. So, I hope you did all enjoy the video. Please do like it and let me know if you did like it. Share it if you really liked it. And subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel. And if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Let me know in the comments down below, 1, if you've ever believed Herobrine was real. And 2, what you'd like to see in another history off video. Because I'm, 1, curious this, again, if you've ever actually, thought Herobrine was real. Because I was curious at first, because a friend would always insist he was. And I'd be like, what are you even talking about? And for the second one, yeah, I like these history off videos. I hope you will do too, and hopefully we can do more. So thank you all for watching, and goodbye.